Count Dooku, otherwise known as the tyrannical Sith Lord Darth Tyrannus, one of the main pioneers and orchestrators of the entirety of the Clone Wars conflict, was an 83-year-old Sith Lord who was the second apprentice of Darth Sidious, third era including the fallen Jedi Master Vergere from Legends continuity. Count Dooku is undisputedly one of the most famous and most popular Star Wars characters, especially with his resurgence in the Tales of the Jedi TV show that premiered just a few days ago. Tales of the Jedi really captured Dooku in a new perspective that many of us did not ever think to conceive him about. Any thoughts that we had of Dooku was as a cruel dictator and the leader of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, with Dooku largely acting as the main and primary face of the Clone Wars conflict. To the wider public scope, he was merely Count Dooku, a nobleman from the noble house of Sereno who was a former Jedi, who deduced it would be of his best interest to join the Separatists rather than the corrupt, politically advanced Republic, which was secretly under the control of his Sith Master. To the wider galaxy, Dooku was merely a politician, but to the Jedi, and some of the Jedi's most trusted confidants and agents, Dooku was so much more. Dooku was an agent of the darkness, and a very powerful agent at that. Dooku was considered by many, including his own master Insidious, and his grandfather Master Plagueis, as well as the majority of the Jedi Order, to be among the top 10 most powerful people that were alive during the prequel trilogy, possibly even emerging into the top 5. Dooku's saber skills were considered to the point he was possibly able to best Mace Windu twice in a duel. He had spent his entire life studying Makashi, the dueling-centric variation of lightsaber combat, which he mastered to the utmost extent, mastering it and becoming the true Makashi master beyond any other being that had ever existed in all of Star Wars lore. This to me was a true testimony to Dooku's immense power. His lightsaber skills were beyond immense, and Dooku's mastery over lightsaber combat meant he was able to deal and duel Mace Windu, Yoda, and even Darth Sidious, as well as Anakin and Obi-Wan simultaneously. Despite all these positivities and Dooku's immense dark side power, he was not indestructible. Dooku was widely considered to be an implacable member of the Sith Order and the main orchestrator of the Clone Wars. However, even the most powerful and politically formidable beings have their downfalls, and today we shall be exploring Dooku's greatest one. Well, my friends, let us proceed and explore why Count Dooku, in all his wisdom, and what was his most fatal weakness, and what eventually got him killed at the hands of his master and manipulation, Sheev Palpatine. With that out of the way, let us begin. Before we dive in, it is crucial that we know some very important facts about Count Dooku. To start off, Count Dooku was a Jedi for roughly 60 years, cementing himself as one of the most experienced beings to ever revolutionize the Order. Another incredible thing we need to know is his personality. He was an aging human male who had light skin, brown eyes, and white hair. Once a respected Jedi, and during the Separatist crisis, he was viewed as a political idealist by his former peers. During his time in the Order, Dooku chafed at a Jedi's disdain for technology. After meeting her, Dooku secretly kept in contact with his sister Jenza and grew close to her. His independent spirit helped push him away from the Jedi's Order. By the time he was a Sith Lord, Dooku had come to believe the Jedi had wasted their powers and that he had not squandered his own, believing he was more worthy of the Chosen One title than even Anakin. Dooku was considered as a charismatic statesman, deft at manipulation and deception. However, Dooku became increasingly delusional with the Galactic Senate's corruption and influence over the Jedi, and the arrogance and apparent complacency of the Jedi Order, eventually coming to desire the downfall of both institutions he's once served. After Sidious exploited Dooku's fury at the Republic to turn the Count to the dark side, with the final straw being the death of Qui-Gon Jinn and Master Yaddle, Dooku, having become the Sith Lord Darth Tyrannus, was a menacing, intelligent, powerful, manipulative, arrogant, and immoral yet charismatic statesman, with a refined and educated character befitting from an aristocrat of the last years of the Republic era. In public, he maintained the main image of a humanitarian leader who truly wanted what was best for the Confederacy. While in secret, he looked for the greater powers as a Sith and the Force, and was willing to advance his plans with methods that included torture, assassination, and even genocide, despite Dooku's hesitancy to ever injure Sith or Jedi, with Dooku even swearing that he would not kill Jedi single-handedly, killing only 5 with the inclusion of Yaddle. Because the Order served the Republic, Dooku believed the Jedi were dishonored and not to be trusted, that they adhered more to the Senate and less to the will of the Force. Dooku also protested the failure of the Republic, bringing numerous systems to the Confederacy by exploiting their doubts and their faults, yet his true motives remained hidden. The Count truly wanted to rule a new Sith Empire at the side of Darth Sidious, whom he believed would bring the Order back to the galaxy. In the end, this was eventually what caused Dooku to die, and unveiled his main, primary, final weakness. Count Dooku, despite her pleas for him to return to the light, he was so committed to the dark side that he even had his own sister Jenza killed. Dooku was skilled at recruiting allies to his side throughout the entirety of the Clone Wars, obediently serving his master while dreaming of taking his place as the reigning Dark Lord of the Sith. Not only using his wealth, popularity, fame, and status as a nobleman of Sereno, but also his natural charm and intense gravitas to lure systems into seductive influence of the Separatists. Nevertheless, he was willing to betray his own followers and allies, such as Asajj Ventress and Pre Vizsla, when Palpatine eventually disposed of Ventress, ordering her execution. Though he showed some regret over entering Ventress, angering his own master, Sidious, he willingly betrayed and orchestrated the death of his former friend, Sifo-Dyas as a Jedi. Dooku was very vindictive, as shows when he ordered devastating attacks against Mother Talzin and Hondo Ohnaka for crossing him in the path, proving that he did hold a grudge when people wronged him. Dooku was also quite fearless, like Anakin, his main rival, and was willing to sacrifice himself in a final attempt to fully convert his last apprentice, Quinlan Vos, to the dark side, by tempting Vos to strike him down after he mortally wounded Vos's lover Ventress, an act that would eventually spiral into events that would lead to Ventress's death. Dooku, in the end, was willing to betray Sidious for power. Towards the end of the Clone Wars, he conspired with his new apprentice Quinlan Vos, and more, to attempt to overthrow Sidious. He had eventually orchestrated the same plans with Ventress and Savage Opress, before they in turn were disposed of for their various reasons. In the end, Dooku's main weakness, despite all his charismatic, manipulative strategies and tactical mind that made him one of the most formidable enemies that the Galactic Republic and the Senate had ever had to face, was eventually his own arrogance. Similar to Vader, Dooku did not believe he could be manipulated. He thought he was beyond those petty tricks, and never expected such a thing from his master. He, in turn, believed that his master Sidious would want him to rule alongside. He believed he was too valuable and too potent of a tool, the sharpest tool in the shed to be exact, to be disposed of. He full well knew that Anakin was going to join rule alongside them. However, he believed he would also be there, given a very big primary role in the new empire. He ultimately was so arrogant, he believed he was indisposable, and that he was beyond manipulation, thinking he would see any manipulative strategy a mile away, and believing any manipulative tactic would be pointless against him. However, he failed to understand that he was dealing with the best manipulator the galaxy had ever seen and ever would see. And he ultimately fell at the hands of his own master through the one thing and one tactic he thought he could never fall to. Well, my friends, what did you think of this video? Did you agree with my opinion of Dooku's biggest weakness and the ultimate reason he ultimately fell and he was ultimately beheaded by Anakin Skywalker at the age of 83 aboard the Invisible Hand? Goodbye, my friends, and I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away.